Hello everyone, and today in the approach to men's in PSIR, we will have another topic, political theory. This is the first topic of the syllabus, you can say, in the first paper. So there are two words first, if we want to understand it briefly. Number one, you need to debate and deliberate about what is political, because theory can also be theory of physics or chemistry or biology or any other sociology, any other discipline. But here it has to be political theory, right? So we have to have a very clear idea about what is political. And then you have to link it how whatever is the political can be converted into a theory, right? So political theory is the main conceptual framework to understand this vast political science syllabus, vast history of political science since the days of Plato and Aristotle. So here, to start with, we first have to deal with what is a theory, right? Because when we go further into the topic, you will find out the various other concepts or the, I can say, probable questions from political theory, other than the one question which we will see. That is, what is the resurgence of theory? And what is the decline of political theory? This will apply to both of it, resurgence of political theory and decline of political theory. So political theory is basically a combination of, you can say, two parts, and that's, let's take it in the concept thing, that political theory has two parts, political science and political philosophy, right? Science here is not exactly the political science, the name of the subject you have, or political science here we mean the objective factual component, and political philosophy here we mean the value based, value component of any theory, right? So we have to understand the political theory also in terms of the dichotomy or relation between what is called fact versus values, right? That's what is the main debate of political theory is. So generally, students directly start reading what is the political theory and how behavioralism changed it, what happened. But the core concept of political theory is to understand a very dynamic, or you can say dubious relation between fact and value. So the fact wala people claim that fact has no value in it, and value wala people claim that no fact can be there without value. So therefore, whatever is fact for you may be value for somebody else. So fact is something which is universal. Right? Universal. Objective. Timeless. Indivisible. Right? Permanent. And value is something which is subjective, right? Changeable, non-permanent. Hence, it is more like, you can say, subjective, changeable, subject to different interpretation. So it is the relation between the subjective value as subjective element and fact as objective element. That's what is there And political theory is debate about how you can find a correlation between subjectivity and objectivity in any political theory. Right? For example, when I say that sun rises in the east, this has both the subjective and objective element in it. When Earth is rotating from west to east, for everyone, almost everywhere on the equator, the sun will always rise from the east. But somebody who is on the typically North Pole or South Pole, it may not be totally be the east. And also, when sun changes its position between the two tropics, it will not strictly be the east. And therefore, the statement that sun rises from the east has both the element of fact as well as value. And from the cosmic perspective, if we see, if we go to Mars or if we go to Jupiter, definitely sun may not be rising there from the east. And therefore, sun rises from the east, which you think is the scientific and logical and objective and permanent and kind of statement, a theory or a statement, hypothesis, but ultimately we find it to be only a very subjective, hence a value-based statement. So this kind of debate was always there in political science, but it became very prominent after Second World War, very prominent after Second World War. Okay, so after Second World War, this debate became prominent. Question is why? Simply because in the Second World War, so many people died, more than 6 crore people died, so much destruction of property and many other kind of crimes happened, that people became totally frustrated with the prevailing mode of political theory. Because aim of political science is to resolve the political problems. And the First World War and immediately Second World War justified the failure of the existing political philosophers in understanding, forget about resolving, even understanding the political situation. And hence, after Second World War, that is after Second World War, the revolt against political theory started. And this revolt, whatever way it happened, was the result of the lack of faith in the political philosophy that was going on since long back, since the days of Plato. So from Plato to, you can say, Lasky, who can be the last prominent thinker before the Second World War. So from Plato to Lasky, pre-World War II, all the scholars which we have in our hand, in our syllabus, all of them were criticized by post-World War II scholars for being too subjective. And they had created a political theory more on the basis of political philosophy. So, these guys, after Second World War, scholars who gave themselves a new name, and their name is behavioral thinker. Behavioralism. Then these people criticized the earlier scholars as being too value-oriented, too much of the philosophy, and they lack the fact of the life, the reality of the life. The main reason these people said to them that they failed because they were more concerned with what should be a good society and good life rather than explaining and finding out what is the current society. So behavioralism and behavioralist thinkers became a movement. You can also call it Chicago School, starting with Charles C. Merriam, taken by David Easton and others. And all these guys started with a new approach to be realistic in making political theory. And how can you be realistic in making political theory? So this is what their question is. It says PYQ, examine the importance of behavioral approach in political theory. What is importance? First importance we have seen already. They challenged the existing and previous political philosophy of all the thinkers. They brought a new school, new approach. Scientific, you can say, factual in nature, realistic in nature. And so they created a whole lot of new school, a new idea, a new philosophy in which they said, let's be realistic and talk only about that part of theory which has to be backed up by data. So data centricism, data, fact. First you collect the fact, make the hypothesis, arrange the data, prove your hypothesis right or wrong, and on the pattern of the data, you make a theory. You make a theory, right? So it is not that you just see the society, observe it commonsensically. That was possible before behavioralism for Marx or Locke, and you see and say how society behaves. And you focus more on how they actually behave to how they should behave. Like a theory of social contract was more about how it should be. The Marxian communist revolution was more about how it should be. A classless society, how it should be. The Plato's philosopher king, how it should be. Hannah Arendt public action, how it should be. Rather than going into reality. Right? So behavioralism changed totally the way political theory. So it was a revolt. It was a revolution in the methodology, in the research methodology of the political science. Now it was no more about how it should be. You simply create a hypothesis, collect the data, prove the hypothesis on the basis of data, or you reject it. And on the pattern of the data which you collect, you make a certain theories, which is the justification or proving the hypothesis which you have made already. Right? So this is how the behavioral approach changed. Right? So they changed it. You know what they changed it? The subjective value analysis of political theory. And that's why the rise of behavioralism is called decline of political theory. I will write political philosophy because they hated philosophy. One reason was becoming subjective in nature. And when David Easton in 1969 David Easton himself declared that, behavioralism is not so sufficient in approach to solve all the problems of political science, and he raised the demand for post-behavioralism and changed his focus more towards value and relevance in his research, these two elements, which became the central theme of political post-behavioralism. Then the decline of behavioralism started and rise of political philosophy happened. So this is why I have written here, resurgence of political theory. So resurgence of political theory is very clear. That is decline of behavioralism and their understanding that without subjectivity, without values, without philosophy, nothing substantial can be achieved in political science. So Leo Strauss, John Rawls, these people like Isaiah Berlin, The people like Robert Nozick, Milton Friedman, people like John Dewey, people like Dworkin, all these people are responsible for resurgence of political theory. What is decline? Decline came before resurgence with the rise of David Easton and Estonian model of behavioralism. But at the end, we understand that the main contribution and importance of the behavioralism, as we have seen here in the question itself, is what led to its decline. The decline happened because of realization कि जिस समस्या को लेके हमने शुरू किया था वो समस्या तो सॉल्व हो ही नहीं रही है. So therefore, David Easton himself said, okay, let's not go for this and understand that without value and its relevance, the behavioralism is incomplete. So let's enter into the phase of post-behavioralism. So the biggest contribution of this analysis you can examine here, last paragraph you can always write that how and why this behavioralism as a theory led to a more rational approach in making a political theory and understanding the relevance of the political science by creating a fact and value relationship in much more cohesive and coherent manner. So friends, this was about our this thing. In next topic and session we will meet again. Thank you.